She tweeted about black people, how they kill more black people than police kill black people. And it was in response to someone saying that the police are just going around killing black people. Do you think that that is a reason for her to be decrowned?
I understand the logic behind taking her crown away for saying those things.
Doesn't everybody have kind of locker room talk that if publicized, then they would get shit for it? Does that make sense?
I think locker room talk is shitty. We shouldn't say that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And when people say it, they should be called out for it. Because, again, we have to work to make each other better.
Cool. So wouldn't that mean that we're calling everybody out, though? Because everybody has locker room talk, whether you like it or not, right?
I don't think I would ever say something like that. And if I did, I would want my friends and people I care for to call me out for it, because it's not okay.
Well, I've never voted, but I liked Barack Obama. Mm-hmm. So I thought that was really cool that he was a black president. And, I feel like the country was pushed in a really good direction. And now it's kind of taken 2 huge steps back in that, people are noticing racism a lot more nowadays.
My name is Anna, and I recently moved to Seattle, and I've been watching Operation Cold Front for several months now, and I've recently just been wanting to find a way to get involved politically and help encourage people in Seattle to see what's going on and maybe question some of their own beliefs and see if the popular narrative is really what the truth is. So that's why we're out here today. And we're going to be asking students about the recent story of Miss Michigan and how she was stripped of her title because of some supposedly racist tweets that she tweeted. She tweeted about black on black crime and then an event at her college where they were having people try on hijabs, and she tweeted about how she did not want to do that. And because of that, she can no longer compete for Miss USA, and she was stripped of her crown completely. So let's see what people have to say about that.
Hi, my name's Dion with Saleem and Dion, and your name is?
Kenzie.
Kenzie, as short for Mackenzie?
It is, yeah.
Nice, right on. Do you know anything about the Miss Michigan debacle?
I don't know, sorry.
Okay, so to give you a little bit of context, she won the Miss Michigan pageant. She was Miss Michigan. And I say was because she's now kicked out for racist tweets.
Okay.
So one of the tweets was actually in response to another tweet by saying, well, stop killing black people. And she responded by saying, well, black people kill, this is an actual statistic, you can look it up. Black people kill more black people than cops kill black people. I mean, she didn't say it in those words, but that was the context of the tweet. So do you think that's a racist tweet, even though she's stating a fact?
Well, I'd like to see her evidence for that. Before I comment any further, I need to know more about it. Yeah.
Cool. So, I mean, you hear it all the time, like Donald Trump tweeting, like, oh, if you don't like it, you can leave. Do you think that's a racist tweet?
Yeah, I do.
Cool. So here's a kind of a context check here. We were all babies at one point. We all, hated our moms for saying the following: if you don't like our rules, then you can leave. By that logic, is that racist?
Well, I think that's a false comparison. I think when Donald Trump says, if you don't like it, leave, he's discounting the fact that many Americans are passionate about their country and still want it to be better. And that's what I believe. I think if you don't like it, leave is an awful thing to say to American. And to the 4 Americans in question that he was talking about.
The squad.
The squad, yeah, I think it's awful to say.
Okay. So, I mean, why is it awful to say? Because, I mean, in my opinion, I think the context kind of applies everywhere. It's like, well, if you don't like a relationship, you can break up with the person. If you don't like the house that you're living in, you can leave.
If you don't like the house you're living in, you can do some DIY and fix it.
No, I mean, absolutely. But, I mean, doesn't that context kind of apply to everywhere, though? Like, if you really don't like this country, there's 200 plus countries out there that you can live in. Like, why is that racist?
Oh yeah, well, it's never wrong to say I love this place and I want it to be better. Mm-hmm. Because that's what we should all be doing as Americans. We should be coming together to make our country the best it can be, and it hasn't been, because we've been really. Can I swear?
No, you can, yeah.
We've been really, really shitty to a lot of people for many, many years, for decades, since the beginning of the country. And we have a lot of work to do to give back to all Americans, to make sure that it's a place that every American can call home.
Cool. I can actually get behind that. But I mean, at the same time, like, let's say, I mean, we all have kind of that locker room talk, right? And of course, the only person that really gets any shit for it is Donald Trump. Anybody in public office, really. So, like, he says stuff like, well, if you don't like it, you can leave, or, you know, this is bullshit, or, this and this and that. But why is he getting the shit for it, even though everyone around us says the kind of the same stuff? Like, is it a different standard? Is it a double standard?
Is everyone saying it?
Yeah, I mean, I say that kind of stuff, honestly, in my own private, conversations with my friends.
You say you should grab a woman by the pussy?
Well, no. I mean, I don't say I'm saying that specifically.
But it's okay when Donald Trump says it.
Well, no, I'm not saying it's okay for Donald Trump to say it. I mean, he said it, it's a fact. I disavow that. Yeah. But doesn't everybody have kind of locker room talk that if publicized, then they would get shit for it? Does that make sense?
I think locker room talk is shitty. We shouldn't say that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And when people say it, they should be called out for it. Because, again, we have to work to make each other better.
Cool. So wouldn't that mean that we're calling everybody out, though? Because everybody has locker room talk, whether you like it or not, right?
I don't think I would ever say something like that. And if I did, I would want my friends and people I care for to call me out for it, because it's not okay. It's not okay to treat people like that.
Cool.
All right, so I'm Anna, and I'm out here with
Kaylee.
And we're going to be talking about the Miss Michigan story. So have you heard about the pageant girl, Kathy Zhu, Miss Michigan?
No, I don't think so.
All right, so I'll tell you the story. So she won Miss Michigan in a beauty pageant there, and she recently got her crown taken away because of some tweets that were found. I'll tell you about one of them. It had to do with a hijab booth that was set up at her school. She went by and they had a booth and they were handing out free hijabs for women to try on, and she later tweeted about it and said that, oh, this is normalizing women wearing hijabs in the U.S., and she said something about it being a form of oppression for women, and that was one of the reasons she got her crown taken away. Do you think that's right that her crown was taken away for that?
I mean, I don't really know about how, pageants work and, what kinds of, standards that, participants are held to, but I think, if winners of pageants are expected to, not be policing other women, then, it would be right for a crown to be taken away. But since I don't really know that much about pageants, maybe that's, not something that happens. But if it's, regular for, these women to be held to, certain standards in terms of, how they engage with, the public and specifically other women, because I know pageants are very, women-focused, then I think I understand why the crown would be taken away.
So for pageants, from what I know, once they get their crown, there's a morality standard. They can't break the law, and they can't do anything that's considered immoral. And so they said that this is why her crown was taken away. But I'll tell you about another one of the tweets. So the other one, she tweeted about black people, how they kill more black people than police kill black people. And it was in response to someone saying that the police are just going around killing black people. Do you think that that is a reason for her to be decrowned?
Well, I mean, in the current, political, climate, I understand why she's decrowned, because trying to detract from crimes committed by police, whether or not that's how you perceive them, if it's, an unjust killing, it's a crime, by trying to shift the focus to, another type of crime, I think it's just, we live in really polarized political times, and adding fuel to the fire when it comes to issues that are already really people have really strong opinions on them, and there's a lot of moral gray area, and trying to be on a soapbox and I don't know. I understand the logic behind taking her crown away for saying those things, but I mean, not everyone has to agree with me, because your opinion on this is going to be determined by your political opinions that you already have. That's just how people work. The political opinions you already have are going to determine the lens through which you see this issue. And if you're someone who, wants there to be more awareness about the good police officers and how protecting police officers' lives, you're probably gonna agree with her in terms of oh, we shouldn't be focusing on police officers doing these killings if they're unjustified, because there are other things we have to worry about. But if you're someone who your life has been affected by someone you know, like, being killed by a police officer in a way that you see as unjust, like, her saying that is probably, like, demoralizing to you, I guess. But it's such a complex issue, so.
So are you saying that people that would be upset about her being decrowned are probably conservative and maybe they share her opinions, and then people that are on the left maybe think it was rightfully done to her?
Yeah, I think, honestly, like, for most people, if you fall into one of those categories, like, yeah, that's how your opinion's going to be formed by.
So should people be allowed to voice their political beliefs on Twitter, do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, as long as they're not dangerous or threatening and, like, people have different definitions of what is, like, dangerous, then I think it's okay.
Yeah, it's already the law that you can't threaten people or directly incite violence. That's like the First Amendment law. Like, that's the limit on the First Amendment in free speech. You can't directly incite violence. But I don't know if her voicing those opinions were inciting violence, because the statistics about black on black crime, it is a true fact if you look it up in, like, the FBI crime statistics. Inner city gang crime, pretty much. What if I told you that Kathy Zhu was a Trump supporter and she was actually the director of social media for Chinese Americans for Trump at her college? Do you think that comes into play with her decrowning?
I don't know. It depends on the political beliefs of the people running the pageant. If they're, like, super liberal, then they're probably going to have some kind of, like, inherent bias that's going to make them want, even if it's not something that's happening consciously, they're going to feel more inclined to decrown her if they see her doing something that, according to their value systems that they have, which liberals and conservatives typically have semi-different value systems.
So it's all good. So do you think people should be fired for their jobs if they voice conservative beliefs? Because this kind of was like a job. She won a pageant. She had to work hard and learn how to walk, answer the questions, and they work really hard to stay in shape, whether you think beauty pageants are good. Yeah, she's only 20. So do you think it's right for people to lose their job or their position because they voiced opinions that some people don't like?
Depending on the opinion, I think it's totally fine, especially if the organization has an image they're trying to uphold. For example, like, you know, newscasters can't go on air wearing certain things. Does that mean that they don't have the freedom to, like, wear whatever they want? Like, yeah, kind of, except, like, certain organizations and other, like, I don't know, just organizations in general. Like, if they have, like, images they want to uphold, I think it's completely in their right to decide what that image is and act accordingly. But yeah, that's just what I think.
All right, well, thank you for the interview today. You had some really good thoughts on it. And
I have a couple more questions here. I'll turn it off with you.
Yeah.
So you said that everybody has inherent biases and stuff. Is there a way to limit those inherent biases, such as, like, like you mentioned newscasters and stuff, like, because they either align politically, liberal, independent, conservative, far right, far left. It doesn't matter. But is it possible to limit that inherent bias, such as, like, fake news and stuff like that?
Oh yeah, for sure. I'm actually doing a project on this right now, so
cool.
This is something I'm really passionate about.
Cool.
So the internet has this power over us in the sense that there's unlimited information on there. You can find something on there to reinforce your own beliefs no matter what you believe. So trying to get news from newspapers, not the internet, also probably not super mainstream news, because CNN has, like, 30% of the claims they make are false, and Fox News about 60% of the claims they make are false, and, like, neither of those are okay. We're, like, at this point where there's, like, so much, like, reactionary politics. Like, people will say whatever because truth doesn't really matter anymore, especially on the internet and mainstream news. So reading newspapers, talking to people in real life, organizing outside of the internet, I think, is a good way for people to try to get rid of those biases, because if you talk to people, it's like we're doing right now. Like people can have conversations, but like on the internet, conversations are just completely like ineffective because there's anonymity. You can say whatever you want without basically any consequence. You're not afraid of hurting other people. You're not afraid to be radical because there's not going to be any consequences for you, which is why like we see like there's been a lot of violence that has come off of like internet forums and stuff like 4chan, and like people who like there's that guy in Canada who's like an incel who found like this really radical community and mowed down a bunch of people to kill them. And there's the guy in California, same thing.
Do you mean the Las Vegas shooting?
No, it was a long time ago. His name was like Elliot
That's
something.
Nevada. I'm stupid.
Yeah. It was a long time ago, but it was like a super similar thing. Like people are being radicalized on the internet, so staying off the internet, I think. Not staying off the internet completely, obviously, I'm on the internet, but trying to like form your political opinions in spaces that aren't just the internet, because there's so much misinformation that I'm not capable, you guys aren't capable, nobody is capable of having the time and energy to find out what's really true on the internet, and that is leading to polarization, which is bad.
I love that point. So do you think before the .bomb bust, it was actually better in terms of having conversations?
Oh, for sure. The like kind of like radicalization that we've been seeing in like our lifetime, because how old are you guys?
I'm 23.
24.
I'm 20. So like the political like opinions that we've developed have like all been in the time that the internet has like been a big thing.
That's true. Yeah.
And so like we don't really know anything other than this, but like politics used to be like something that was like honorable. People used to be able to have civilized discussions. Obviously people still got heated, but like it's just so different now, and it needs to be changed, and like I want so much for it to change.
That I love that viewpoint. I never thought of it that way, because I will tell you that I'm a conservative. She's a conservative, and are you liberal? Mm-hmm. Cool. So I mean, we're having a really great discussion now. We're not flipping each other off or anything like that. But I will say that regardless of whether you're not on the conservative or liberal side, I've done a little bit of research on this as well with respect to internet searches, because when you search up pro-life stuff, you're going to go to the first link that says, oh, that looks like something that I agree with, click. And then they don't actually click on the next thing where it says, well, pro-choice arguments, right? So you're absolutely correct in that when you say that we need to kind of stay away from the internet, even though it's one of the most powerful things. E-commerce has gone up like 200, 300, 400% and all this and all these really great things, but social media kind of, kind of not a really great thing. So I really love that perspective. When's your project due? Like, I don't know why I even asked that. What inspired you to do that project?
So the class is called, that I'm doing this project for, is called Communicating in the Age of Trump. And that's not like an anti-Trump thing,
no.
But at the same time, it kind of is, just in the sense that like he has a big personality, and
sure.
I think that's a lot of people can probably agree that's why he won. People liked his personality and the kind of like ideas that he portrayed through like the way that he spoke, and like he was not part of the establishment. There's lots of anti-elite, anti-establishment sentiments right now. So basically populist sentiments. And that has kind of led to a political landscape where like narratives are really important. So what kind of story you can tell is really important in getting votes and keeping support and like all that kind of stuff. So we are trying to figure out how to communicate with people in a world that is dominated by narratives, like a political world that's dominated by narratives, and a political world that exists mostly on the internet, where it's hard to talk to people because there's so much radicalism. You can say whatever you want. You don't have to be nice to people. You don't have to listen to people. And I am an Earth and Space Science major, and I care a lot about science in general and science communication. And for a long time, scientists have been like, oh, like we just need to like
better articulate facts to get people to understand what we're trying to say, but that's not the case. It has to do with having these kinds of conversations as opposed to like just totally existing on the internet and trying to get information across, to communicate with the whole American public, not just people at universities or not just people, you know, that are living out in the Midwest who are farmers, like trying to talk to everyone in a level playing field, because right now it's
not.
It's just absolutely isn't.
Right. So you touched on something. So you said Donald Trump was very anti-elitist. Well, that was something Bernie Sanders also was as well.
Yes.
So it's really interesting to me to see Bernie Sanders and Donald Trump talking literally about the same things. Like, you know, screw the big banks, screw these Hollywood elites that control everything, but their methods were different. That's what was interesting to me. You know, that's one of the reasons why I personally like Bernie Sanders at first, until I found out that his methods just don't work, in my opinion. And then, you know, that's why I like Donald Trump, because it's like, well, I hate the elite, even though I am the elite. So it's really interesting to see that kind of thing. So anyways, I really appreciate this great interview. This is a really great interview. You touched upon it very well, that we need to have these kind of conversations. And I think these kind of conversations are going to help, is what's going to help bridge the gap between conservatives and liberals. So I really appreciate it. What was your name again? Kaylee. All right, awesome. It was so nice to meet you. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Yeah. Do you know anything about the Miss Michigan case that just happened with the beauty pageant? Okay, so basically what happened was this Asian American woman got nominated for the Miss Michigan pageant, but she was stripped of that title because of racist tweets. Do you know anything about that?
So she tweeted something racist?
About in 2017, yeah.
Haven't heard of it.
So here's one of the tweets that she said, is that as a statistic, black people kill more black people than cops kill black people. Do you think that's a racist tweet? And why or why not?
I don't know. I don't think that's accurate. I don't think she really fact-checked that, and so if that's her opinion, then that's pretty racist.
Sure, but how is that racist though, by saying, like, as a fact, that black people kill more black people? That's actually a statistic. You can look that up yourself.
So it's true.
It is true.
Okay. I don't know, in what context?
So with respect to cops killing black people at an unprecedented rate, right? Well, that's not actually true. You literally have a higher chance of getting struck by lightning than you are to get killed by a cop as a black person. And yet black people, especially in places like Chicago, they kill more, black people kill more black people than cops kill black people. So is that really a racist thing, even though she's stating a fact?
I guess not. So people stripped her of her title for posting that?
Yeah, so the Miss Michigan pageant actually, like, literally sent her a letter saying, yeah, we're revoking your title for it.
Wow. I don't know. I mean, I guess, like, beauty pageants have, like, you know, per se the right to do that if it doesn't follow, like, their opinion. But, I mean, that's up to them, I guess.
Sure. So what would you think, I mean, well, she is a Donald Trump supporter. Do you think that plays a part in it?
No.
So, I mean, what if it did, though? Do you think that this ties into the whole conservative censorship or the whole anti-right-wing movement that's going on?
Anti-right-wing, like anti-conservative? I don't know.
I mean, there's a lot of that going on right now, because on Facebook they actually deliberately target conservatives and take them off the platform. You know, I mean, actually here the UW College Republicans sued the University of Washington simply because they were discriminating against them. So it happens all over the country, not only the country but the world. So do you think that it could possibly play a fact that she is a Donald Trump supporter, that she was kicked out of that pageant?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, I would also assume that, you know, beauty pageants were kind of conservative because it's more like upper class girls. So I mean, it can play a role into like why like people would think that's racist. But I mean, I don't know. I mean,
It's a tough question, right? Because is it really racist or is it really just a discrimination factor, you know?
yeah. I don't know how to answer that for you. What do you think?
You know, I personally think it's the anti-right-wing movement going on because I'm a Donald Trump supporter, she's a Donald Trump supporter, and her and I have specifically experienced some things that are very anti-conservative. Let me ask you, what do you align politically? Conservative, liberal, middle of the road?
Well, I've never voted, but I liked Barack Obama. So I thought that was really cool that he was a black president. And, you know, I feel like the country was pushed in a really good direction. And now it's kind of taken like 2 huge steps back in that, you know, people are noticing racism a lot more nowadays. So I guess, yeah, I'm kind of a liberal.
Okay.
This is a liberal college campus.
Very much so. Well, hey, anyways, I really appreciate the interview. What was your name again?
Sophie.
Sophie, it was so nice to meet you. Thanks a lot for the interview.